Friends, in our lectionary passage today from John 14:23 to 29, we are reading part of Jesus' farewell discourse in John's Gospel to his disciples. It runs from chapter 13 to verse 17. And in these chapters, Jesus is preparing his disciples for his imminent departure. He's preparing the way for them to enter into a new kind of relationship with him, a relationship in the spirit rather than in the flesh. And in this context, in verse 23, Jesus says the following: If anyone loves me, they will keep my word, and my Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. There's something beautifully tender and domestic in this verse. We will come and make our home with them. This is not the language of fear or judgment. Rather, it's the language of relationship, of love, of intimacy, hospitality, the language of belonging. And that word home is perhaps where I'd like us to dwell a bit this morning. But first we might ask, what does it mean to keep his word? Jesus says, if anyone loves me, they will keep my word. At first we might hear this as a call to obedience, obeying specific rules or ethical commandments. But in John's Gospel, keeping doesn't mean simply obeying or following rules. It means holding close, guarding, treasuring. It's the same word used of Mary in Luke's Gospel, who kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. So when Jesus says, keep my word, he isn't just saying, do as I say. He's saying, hold on to the purpose I came for. Live by it. Let it live in you. To understand this verse a little better, it's helpful to consider a very similar kind of parallel verse, just a few verses before in John 14, verse 15, where the English translation of the original Greek is often translated as, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And again, this sounds like instruction, but it is helpful to look a little deeper. The Greek word for commandment, entole, it doesn't mean just rule. It means objectives, purpose, goal, or even mission. Jesus is saying to his disciples, if you love me, you will hold close, guard, and treasure my objectives, my purpose, my goal, and my mission. And what is that mission? We hear it echo throughout John's Gospel. In John 10, verse 10, I came that they might have life and have it abundantly. John 12:32, and I, when I'm lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. And then a verse from last week's passage, a new commandment, a new objective I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you. The purpose, the entole of Jesus is to draw us into divine love, to awaken us to the life of God within us, and to invite us to become fully alive, fully human, and fully divine. And so when Jesus says, keep my word, he's inviting us to live by this larger vision, to be people who draw others in with love, not push them away with judgment, to give life, not to constantly try and control it, to help people become more of who they are in God, not less, and to become a home, a place where the Spirit of God finds rest. And that's what it means to keep his word, to align our lives with his purpose, to love, to give life, to draw others toward wholeness. And then we hear the great promise, perhaps getting to the heart of it. My Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. This is no longer about us trying to climb up to God. It's about God coming home to us, making God's home within us, making us alive to the divine presence that is within us and that perhaps we have ignored or neglected. And so Jesus is saying, when you live by this love, when you let it shape your words, your actions, your spirit, then God's very presence will rest and abide in you. He doesn't say if you are perfect or if you believe the right things. If you love me and keep my purpose close, we will come and make our home in you. And this is the promise of Pentecost, which is coming up in 2 weeks' time. It's the promise of presence, peace, and the power of God's Spirit within. We are at home in God, and God at home in us. Interestingly, in this verse, Jesus is offering us not a mansion in the sky, but a home in the heart. When we make room for Christ's word, his life-giving purpose, his loving objectives, then we find ourselves already dwelling in God, and astonishingly, God dwelling within us. And so in closing, what does it mean to follow Jesus? It's not just to believe something about him. It is to embody his vision, to draw others in with love, to bring life where there is despair, to be a safe, welcoming place for others and indeed for God. And as we do, we discover that we are not alone. We are not abandoned or left as orphans. We are at home in God, and more wonderfully still, God at home in us. Amen. God bless. Just a few more thoughts on the journey, some food for thought. Hope it has been helpful. God bless.